Hi, welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Now, today we're going to put the wheels back into the Bonneville. We've had the tyres replaced. These are a pair of Avon Road Riders. They're the tyre that has succeeded the old Avon Venom that's much loved by Harley riders for a replacement to the factory tyres, and these are just the same thing on the Bonneville. The factory tyres that they come with are pretty poor, and these are a great upgrade even if you don't need them, as we very much did on the Bonneville. Okay, so stick around and stay tuned today and show you how to put them both back in. We'll start with the rear. Okay, wheeling the bike. Something soft, lay the disc on it, put the cush drive unit back in. As I said, there's a little spacer lives inside there, and it stops you crushing the bearings, and that just pops in. First of all, stick your finger through, hold it in place, and drop the cush drive block back into the wheel. Just drive that home. Also, before we go anywhere with that, remember we come over here, put all this back together on the axle in order. So that one there goes in that side of the wheel. We just pop that back in, and then the other one goes in the other side. Just a minute. We're going to pop that right back to this point. Brake caliper mount there. Right back nice and flush. So it's nice and flush there, ready to slide the wheel into place. Take the space up. Pop it in that side. Ready to fit the wheel. Just roll it into position. And just make sure you roll it in far enough so it's literally underneath where it's going to go through. And then all you got to do is reach over and lift it up into position. Just have to fiddle sometimes. That's it. And there we are. Thread through. Simple as that. Put a washer on, just to hold it in place. And just loosely install the nut on the end. Job done. There we are. Okay, that's the basic wheel mounted. Excellent. Right, chain back on the top of the sprocket. Just roll the wheel back and it'll pick it up quite nicely. Now, obviously the adjusters, just turn them in an outward position, or outward direction rather, either side, and that will bring the wheel back. We can deal with the alignment at the end, but just now we're fitting everything in, so it's all reinstalled roughly where it should be. Just bring that back to you somewhere near the slack. There we go. Okay, let's pop the caliper on. And we're going to put some new pads in, but I have ordered the pads, but they haven't turned up yet. So what we're going to do is just reinstall this for now to show you it put back in position and torqued up, and then I'll take them back off once it arrives. Okay, pop chain guard back on. And then the top one. Remember, these are Torx drives, but what you do with all these little threads, when you're reinstalling everything, just put a bit of WD-40 or some grease on all the threads, so when it's all buttoned up back together, you've replenished that sort of youthful feel about it, so everything's nice and fresh. If you come to re-undo it in the future, everything's done. Just do them up hand tight for now, because we're going to do everything and readjust it and then go over every single fastener at the end. Okay, chain guard on, caliper on. Now we've just got to adjust the wheel to its correct length, correct tension and alignment. That's it. Okay. Okay, now we're going to check the alignment on the ground and the chain tension. So I'm going to just tension it briefly where it is, about 1.5 inches, and check on these rear marks here exactly where that is. And all it is coming from the rearmost one to just before the third one. Check the other side. 1, 2, got to come back a bit. I'll check these accurately at the end with a ruler, as I showed you in the previous one about tensioning the chain. There we go. They'll do for now. They're accurate enough. And now all we do is tighten up the wheel. Now this will just be a brief tighten up. Yes, we're going to torque them up, but first of all, it's going to do it up. Physically do it up so everything aligns. Spanner on this side as before, socket on that side. Do the wheel nut up. And I'm just going to do that up wrist tight with a ratchet for now, because we'll set everything when we get the wheel on the ground and get some weight on it, which I can't do yet because there's no front wheel in it. There we are. That'll do for now. That's the wheel in, that's the wheel fitted. Now all that does, that covers everything. That's the mechanical process of refitting the wheel. It's ever so easy, isn't it? Honestly, anybody could do it. It's just a reverse of what you did taking it out. So in the last video which I did, or a little while ago, I did on adjusting the chain on a Bonneville scrambler, and having done that, you can refer to that video for the exactness how to set that up, and the torque setting on the outside, and get it all covered. But we'll go over it at the end when we finish the job. So let's do the front wheel now. Okay, keeping these spacers in the order they're in. That's it. Big spacer in that side, and a small one in the disc side. Ready to go. Okay, roll it into place. Always pays, to say at this point, always pays to check when you go to the tyre fitter that they fitted the tyre the right way around. When you present loose rims to a dealer, they don't know necessarily what side your disc goes, and any good tyre fitter should ask you what side does the disc go. So make a mental note, remember what side it is, so they fit the tyre the right way around. Otherwise, they fit it back to front, you've got to take it back, get it done again. So, okay, axle. Here we are. And this is simplicity itself. Just lift it up, slide it in. Simple as that. There we are. Now on the outside, the washer's already in place there. Round one. Okay. Now let's do this nut up to a reasonable torque before we actually drop it down, and then we can start torquing everything up later on. Now do this up. These are designed to self-center. You've got a shoulder on this axle here which meets against this spacer, so you just do everything up so it pinches in as much as possible. Don't worry about this pinch bolt till everything's in place, and that's drawn up. I'm going to torque it up properly in a minute, but there, that's fine. That's just as tight as you'll need to get it for now, because that's drawn that through as much as possible. And we just take the 6mm Allen key and do up that little pinch bolt there. This pinch bolt's very important because if the nut comes off the end, it stops the axle falling out, keeps everything tight, and it also helps keep your fork alignment straight. Just going to nip that gently by hand, because again, I'm going to go around the whole thing afterwards and do a nice torque up of the whole job. Okay, so that's the front wheel. Finally, caliper on the front. Okay, take that from the safe place we left it. And the bolts in their little positions, nice and secure. Always put a bolt back in the place it comes from. It kind of helps you to remember where it goes. Just leave that there for a sec. I'm going to prepare these. Same drill, a little bit of anti-seize on the end of them, just so they go in easier and, more importantly, come out easier in the future. Just use a little bit of a, just roll it round. This is a hard block of anti-seize as opposed to the little tubes of oily stuff you can get, but I like that because you can tread on it, it doesn't squirt all over the garage floor. Right, and it's the same again, little gap in the pads. Remember we pushed them back with that rotating action. Little jiggle, put them in place, top one through, line it up, couple of threads, same as the bottom one, line it up, couple of threads, 12mm. Now these are torqued up as well. So what I'll do at the end, I'm going to go around every single fastener that's relevant, and I'm going to give you the torque setting for it as well. And just for now, just going to nip them up, wrist tight, so it's in place. Right, there we are. Now that's pretty much it. That's the fitment of the front and rear wheels. I haven't aligned the wheel back properly, and I haven't set the torque on anything. So I'm going to quickly do that. As I go around, I'm going to just give you the torques themselves. You can look them up on the net. If you just go on the internet, look up Caliper Bonneville, torque settings, brake calipers, it just comes up. Everybody's loaded this stuff. It's the wonders of the internet these days. You don't even need a manual anymore. So you can look them up. It's sort of 28, 64, 20 on these and that, and just make sure you do them correctly and get yourself a decent torque wrench and make sure that it's calibrated. If you get a good one, it will be from the packet, and when it's 3, 4, 5 years old, chuck it out and get a new one. Anyway, let's get everything buttoned up so it's ready to be torqued up. Okay, what we're going to do is lay it down on its wheels, get some weight on it, make sure the stand's down, pop it on the side stand, and that'll give me some strength to put some torque into these. Right, first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is torque up the front axle. And all I did earlier on, like I said, was went on the net, downloaded these, and got the torque settings from a reliable source, which is people have just copied and pasted the actual page out of the manual. And if it's printed in a manual, then that must be it. But I'll show you a little trick just to make sure you don't overdo it. So front axle is 60 Newton meters. It's 24 mil. Little adapter for that. Here we are. And the torque wrench. Now the settings on this go up to 70. It's only a lightweight torque wrench and I like those. And it's 60 Newton meters there, that's the setting for it, which comes out at about what looks like 44 foot-pounds, but we're going to use it metric. So before I actually torque it up to 60, I'm going to take it up to 50 first of all, and then build up to 55, then 60, so it'll be 3 checks. And with spanner on this side, just to hold it still so the axle doesn't move. Okay, one click as we always say, wind it up to 55, and one again, and one more, 60. There we are, 60 Newton meters on the front axle. And one click, don't overdo it. The next thing is this little pinch bolt here. I want to look closely at this. If you can see, there's no nut around the back. There's just a threaded block. This threads straight into the casting of the fork leg. So if you strip that, you strip the fork leg out, and all you're left to do is put a nut on the back, and that looks hideous, and it's not right either. So I've looked up the torque setting on 2 or 3 websites to make sure I got it absolutely right. It's only a 6mm bolt, so it's quite well. It's an 8mm shaft, a 6mm thread. So the pinch bolt, which is what that is 27 Newton meters. So what we're going to do, as I said, we'll back it down to 20 to start with, give it some scope. That's where Allen keys with a socket on come in really handy, because you can't torque up a handheld Allen key. So 27, it's very little, 27. So we'll come in at 20 to start with, pop it on there. There you go, 25. There it is. A little bit more, and finally up to 27, which is its correct setting, and that's it. Now obviously overdoing that has vast consequences, but underdoing it means it can come undone. Its job, that pinch bolt, is to hold the axle here to stop that from moving, which is quite important. So what I'm going to do is my favourite trick, a little bit of marker paint on there, easy enough to do, and in this instance I'm just going to pop a little dot down at 6 o'clock on the bolt head and a little dot on the bottom of the fork leg. And this is just nail varnish, so when you're ready to take it off in the future, there we are, 2 bolts aligned, simple as that. And you can do the same on the axle on the other side. I'm not going to put anything on the fork leg, but I just put a little dot on top of the bolt there. Okay, if that unwinds itself, you'll see it because it will be round further. You can, if you want, put a bit on the thread like that, and that will show you if it's moved. So that's the front secure. Now, caliper bolts, very important as well, because they're 2 different sizes on this bike, so 2 different torque settings. Keep going. Okay, caliper bolts, 12mm. Adapter again. Sorry, in your way. Stage left. Here we go. Okay, caliper bolts. 28 on the front, 40 on the rear. And the reason for that is these are thinner bolts on the front, they're just thinner, skinnier. So 28 newtons. Again, we'll come in at, shall we say, 24 to start with. That's it. And then wind it up. I'm going to go 26, just because I don't like over tightening things, it scares me. There we go. Final check. That's it. That's it. A bit more there. That's it. So with any bolt that bolts, when you get two bolts bolting in, one can tighten up the other, so one goes loose, or even the marker paint. Same on the caliper. You can even see there's some wet paint in these as well, which comes from the factory. I think that's a check mark. Just a little dot on top. Just a tiny discreet one and a little dot on the fork leg, like that. And it will just show you that they haven't come undone. You can have a little glance at them anytime. There we are. And that just shows you that everything's done up. You can keep a mental, visual check on it. Just do the back. Back off the wheel axle nut a little bit, because we're going to set the rear wheel alignment. I'm going to back it off so it's hand loose. Get the adjuster in there. And I'll show you again, same as the last video we did this, I'll show you how to actually check it. Now you've got these little teeth marks in here, which you line up. You line these teeth marks here up with the back of the swing arm. But I don't like them because I'm never sure about them, so I just like to get a good accurate ruler. And all I'm doing here is coming in and just aligning the ruler there with the back of the swing arm. And I'm just taking a measurement off this point here, which in this case, it doesn't matter what point you take it, from that one there if you like, as long as it's the same the other side. So I'm just going to take that from there and measuring that, that is, let's do that again, it's 17 mil, I think. 16, 17, 18 mil. Okay, go the other side. And again, it's that distance there from that back edge to there, and that's 15, 16, 18 mil. Probably a little tiny bit more, 18 and a half. What we're going to do is just bring that forward just a little bit. Check that again. Just a little bit out of the way. Probably 1/2 millimetre in it now. There it is. And bang on. Absolutely perfect. There we are. Nothing like perfect wheel alignment, especially with new tyres. Excellent. Okay. What we'll do now is torque the back end up. And the rear calipers 40 Newton meters on the rear, because they are bigger than the fronts. I'm just going to do them up a little bit at a time. Get them roughly done up. Coming in at 35 to start with. 35 is good. 38. And 40. There we go. That's it, ready. Okay, chain tension set right. There's no tight spots. We've been all around it because you always set the chain tension at the tightest spot. Now that's done, torque up the wheel itself. 90 mil on the other side. Get a grip of it. That's 70. Oh, by the way, this is 85 Newton meters for the back wheel. There we are. 80. And finally, right up to 85. Which fortunately is where my torque wrench goes. That's it. Tiny little bit more for luck. And I always do on rear axles, just a tiny bit more. Literally that is no more than about another 2 or 3. I know I always say don't overdo it, but on an axle nut, 3 or 4 extra newtons is great, doesn't matter. And again, true to form, a little tiny bit of marker paint on the top. Just on there like that. A bit more. Run out of nail varnish here, Penny. There we go.
I'll change my colour.
That's it. And a little bit on the end of the axle, just to correspond. And then when those 2 dots align, you know it hasn't undone itself. Now that's done everything up. Now all we're going to do now is put the exhaust back on, and she's ready to rumble. There we are. Wheels back in, everything buttoned up, torqued up, paint marked, done, chain adjusted, set, alignment, everything. It's taken, if we started this job start to finish, it would probably take about an hour and a half at the most. And the wheels had to come out to get the tyres changed. If you're doing something like that, it does save you some money taking your bike over and above taking your bike to a garage to have it done. If you take your wheels out, put them in the boot of the car, take them down, it'll be done. It will often save you 20-30% because you're not paying for labour to do this kind of thing. And also, you know it's all back together correctly. So make sure when you've done everything, it's all torqued up. When you set the chain, you always set the chain tension to the tightest spot in the chain. We're lucky on this bike because there's no tight spots at all. It's uniform all the way around. But if you have got a tight spot, that's where you adjust that tension 1.5 inches up and down from as far as you can move it, and give it a good lubricate afterwards as well. And when you've done everything up, when everything's buttoned up and ready to ride, double check it again and then go for a little test ride. Nice gentle test ride just around the block, come back and then finally do that final check, make sure everything's working fine. Especially if you're handing it over to someone else to ride like I am with Penny. This isn't my bike. I wouldn't want to be responsible for hurting anybody who's going to ride a machine that I've worked on. So double, treble check everything. That's it. Wheels out, wheels back in. 2 little videos. Hope they helped you out. Take it easy, ride safe, and we'll see you another time.